I got up this morning. I am visiting a forest reserve I haven't been to in quite some time. This is Bemis Woods on Salt Creek, and we've had a lot of rain, so this creek is flowing pretty good. But also on the dead tree, just to the left of center, there are 3 double-crested cormorants. And unfortunately, it looks like it almost looks like a storm window at the base of that tree, a little bit in front of it, that somebody dumped here. So as I said in that short that I put up, it's the knuckleheads that screw it up for everyone else. What I wanted to talk about today, though, really is I've seen a lot of folks talking about the Lumix, the full frame L Mount Lumix 28-200, and it's a great travel lens. And I just kind of wanted to touch on, that looks like it's a good lens, and it looks relatively it looks compact for a full frame super zoom lens. But when you compare that to Micro Four Thirds, it's still bigger. You put that on an S5 Mark II, you still have a bigger setup than you do with, say, a G9 Mark II, which is essentially the same body, and the 14-140. Now, I have with me today, this morning, my G95, because I'm kind of traveling a little light. I decided not to take the G9 for just a casual walk, but I do have the 14-140 on it, and it really is significantly smaller. And here's a link to camerasize.com where I put up the G9 Mark II with the 14-140 and the S5 Mark II with the 28-200. And you can see there's a difference in size. There's a bit of a difference in weight too. So, if you want to go full frame and you're traveling, that is a good setup. But it's might make just as much sense to get a Micro Four Thirds body with one of the Superzooms, because they're very, very good. The 14-140 is very good. I saw when I got in here, I went to a spot where there's a dead tree, and there were 3 double-crested cormorants in that tree. So I got a shot with this setup. And unfortunately, if I brought my 100 to 300, I would have been able to get a much closer image of the cormorants. But it kind of wasn't the point of today. Full disclosure, I actually tried the S9 and that little 18 to 40 millimeter, sort of normal to wide, ultra wide zoom. And what I realized, and I didn't keep it, and I realized that it's still, even though it is, they've left off the viewfinder, it's a rangefinder style body, it's still a fairly large, heavy camera. It is, if you compare that to, say, the LX100 Mark II, huge size difference. Now, admittedly, image quality is going to be better on a full frame camera, but you really got to look. You got to spend a lot of time pixel peeping. Obviously, at higher ISOs, full frame is going to be superior. Most of the time, I don't need to shoot above 1600 ISO, and Micro Four Thirds works just fine for that. And I can, on the G9 Mark II, even go up to 6400, and just a little bit of noise reduction takes care of anything. Even if I'm just doing it in Lightroom rather than using Topaz Photo AI, it really tamps down the noise pretty well, because the noise isn't that bad. So my thoughts are, really, if you really need to have full frame, there's a lot of options. So you can look, and there's some really amazing lenses available for full frame now. If you're going to stay in the Lumix system, the L Mount system, boy, if it were me, I would buy a used S5 Mark II. There are lots of them available on the used sites. If you go up to KEH or MPB, you'll find them. Right now with the new S1 Mark II various iterations, there are people who are going to be selling their S5s, their S5 Mark II, to go over to the newer cameras. So, yeah, I would do that, and then maybe get that 28-200 if I'm traveling, And maybe in addition to that, have something that goes wider. Maybe the 18 millimeter prime, maybe that 18 to 40 millimeter zoom. Depends on how much wide aperture you need. So anyway, I am going to continue on with my hike, and I'll put up a little slideshow of anything I get that is decent. I'm Todd Banner. I'll see you next time.